The screaming started before sunrise. Not human screaming. Something wet, choking, animal-like. At exactly 5:13 a.m., every security camera inside the QuickChek went black for 32 seconds. When the footage returned, there was blood smeared across the refrigerator doors near aisle 4, and something pale was crawling across the ceiling above the employee storage room. Something with too many legs. Something carrying a half-eaten human face in its mouth. And the worst part? The thing wasn't hunting them. It was hungry, and Jay had already fed it 7 cans of Pringles. My name's Jay Bennett, and if anyone finds this recording, don't trust what the police say about what happened in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, because Penjamin wasn't the only thing hiding in that store. It started 3 nights before the woman died. After we dumped her body into the creek near Watchung Reservation, Mike and I sat silently inside his car while rain hammered the windshield. Neither of us spoke for almost 10 minutes. I still remember the smell on my hands. Rotting blood mixed with sour cream and onion chips. "You think it'll happen again?" I finally whispered. Mike stared ahead with dead eyes. "Every living thing kills when it's hungry. That thing ain't an animal." "No," Mike muttered. "It's worse." The next morning, we returned to work pretending everything was normal. Penjamin stayed hidden in the storage room, clinging upside down to the ceiling while softly cooing to itself. Every now and then, its swollen head sacs inflated and deflated like diseased lungs. The smell had gotten worse. Not just rot anymore. Now it smelled sweet too, like spoiled fruit left inside a corpse. Mike tossed another Pringles can toward it. "Here, you creepy little bastard." Penjamin caught it instantly with 3 tentacles and cracked the can open. Chips disappeared into its splitting beak within seconds. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The sound echoed through the room like bones breaking. I tried not to think about the woman. Tried not to remember the way her jaw stretched open while those tentacles forced themselves down her throat. But every time Penjamin clicked happily at me, I saw blood dripping from its beak. Then things got worse. Around midnight during my shift, I heard scratching inside the freezer aisle. At first I thought it was rats. Then I heard whispering. Low, wet, gurgling whispers. J.E. I froze. The aisle lights flickered violently. "Mike," I called out. No answer. The scratching grew louder. Then came a horrible crunching noise. I slowly walked toward the freezer section, my sneakers sticking slightly to the tile floor. Something wet coated the ground. When I looked down, I saw slime. Yellow slime. Fresh. My stomach dropped. "Penjamin," I whispered. The whispering stopped. Then suddenly, bang, one of the freezer doors slammed open by itself. I jumped backward. Inside, stacked between frozen pizzas and ice cream cartons, was a dead raccoon ripped completely open from the stomach. Its organs were gone. Its empty eye sockets stared directly at me, and written across the freezer glass in thick mucus were 3 words. Not enough food. My chest tightened. "Mike," I screamed. He came running from the front counter carrying a baseball bat. "What happened?" I pointed shakily toward the freezer. Mike's face went pale. "Oh no." A loud screech echoed from the vents above us. Both of us looked upward slowly. Something was moving inside the ceiling. Fast. The tiles began shifting. One popped loose. Then another. And another. Customers near the coffee station started looking around nervously. "Sir," one man asked, "is there an animal in there?" Before Mike could answer, crash. Penjamin exploded through the ceiling tiles. People screamed. The creature landed directly onto the floor in front of the customers, its tentacles twitching violently. But something was wrong. Its body looked bigger now, swollen. Its skin stretched tightly over pulsating veins. And beneath the translucent flesh, tiny shapes moved, like babies squirming inside a womb. "Oh my God," I whispered. Penjamin slowly turned toward me. Then the sacs on its head inflated, and in a voice that sounded like dozens of humans speaking at once, it finally said its first words. "Still hungry." Penjamin's voice did not sound alive. It sounded stolen, like dozens of dying people trapped together inside a deep sewer, all speaking through broken lungs at the same time. "Still hungry." The entire store went silent. Customers froze beside the coffee machines. A little boy dropped his Slurpee onto the floor. Then Penjamin screamed. The sound blasted through the QuickChek like a fire alarm from hell. Every light overhead exploded at once, raining sparks and glass across the aisles. People panicked instantly. They ran for the doors. One woman slipped in melted ice cream and shattered glass, screaming as she crawled toward the exit. Penjamin moved faster than anything I had ever seen. Its tentacles slammed into the ceiling and launched its bloated body across the store in one horrifying leap. It landed directly on top of a customer near the snack aisle. The man didn't even have time to scream. Crack! The creature's tentacles wrapped around his skull and twisted violently. His head turned completely backward. Blood sprayed across the Doritos display. "Oh my God!" Mike shouted. The store erupted into chaos. Customers trampled each other trying to escape, while Penjamin screeched and bounced across the ceiling like some diseased spider monkey. Its swollen stomach pulsed violently beneath its skin, and then something inside it moved. A lump pushed outward from beneath its flesh. Then another. Then another. I stared in horror as tiny claw-like limbs pressed against the inside of Penjamin's stomach. "Mike," I whispered shakily. "There's something inside him." Mike grabbed my arm hard. "Run!" We sprinted toward the employee hallway while screams echoed behind us. A woman near the soda fountain suddenly stopped moving. Penjamin had landed on her back. Its beak split open into 4 dripping pieces as 3 tentacles forced themselves into her mouth. The sound. God, the sound was unbearable. Wet choking, bones cracking, gurgled screams. Her stomach suddenly bulged outward unnaturally. Then, Ryup, something tiny tore out through her abdomen. A small creature dropped onto the floor covered in blood and slime. It looked just like Penjamin, only smaller. Its body twitched violently as it unfolded thin spider-like limbs. Then another one crawled out of the woman's corpse. Then another. "Oh, Jesus Christ," Mike gagged. The baby creatures immediately scattered into the darkness of the store's ceiling vents. Penjamin screeched proudly, like a mother protecting her newborns. That's when we realized the truth. The Pringles hadn't been feeding him. They'd been feeding them. We locked ourselves inside Mike's office while screams continued outside. The security cameras still worked. Barely. The monitor showed horrifying flashes of movement throughout the store. Customers being dragged upward into ceiling tiles. Blood spraying across refrigerators. Tiny creatures skittering through aisles. One camera near the freezer aisle showed a baby alien chewing through a man's neck while he twitched on the floor. Crunching noises filled the speakers. Mike looked seconds away from vomiting. "We should have killed it," he whispered. "You think?" I snapped. Mike grabbed his head. "What the fuck are those things?" I remembered the vision Penjamin showed me when it touched my hand. The frozen emptiness of space. The endless loneliness. And something else. Something I hadn't noticed before. Shapes moving beneath the yellow oceans of its home planet. Millions of them. Waiting. Breeding. Consuming. "They're colonizers," I whispered. Mike looked at me. "What?" "They don't invade planets with ships." A loud thump landed on the office ceiling above us. Dust drifted downward. I continued slowly. "They invade planets by hiding inside living things." Another thump. Closer this time. I looked upward. Something scratched directly above our heads. Tiny claws. Mike quietly loaded shells into an old shotgun from beneath his desk. "You had a shotgun this whole time?" I whispered. "I was in prison, remember?" The scratching suddenly stopped. Complete silence. Then the office phone rang. Both of us nearly screamed. Roaring. Roaring. Mike stared at it. The caller ID was blank. The phone kept ringing. Slowly, I answered it. "Hello." At first, only static came through. Then breathing. Wet breathing. And finally, a familiar voice. The woman from before. The customer Penjamin had killed. "Jay," she whispered weakly. My blood turned ice cold. "You left me in the creek." I nearly dropped the phone. And no, I was still alive. Mike's eyes widened in terror. Then over the phone came a horrible wet crunching sound, like teeth chewing through meat. The woman began crying. "He put babies inside me." Suddenly the line filled with distorted screeching. Not one voice. Hundreds. Then the call disconnected. Silence. Mike slowly backed away from the desk. "That's impossible." A loud metallic bang echoed from the hallway outside. Then another. Something was slamming itself against the office door. Harder. Harder. The wood began cracking inward. Tiny screeches echoed from the hallway. There were dozens of them now. Mike raised the shotgun with trembling hands. The office lights flickered. Then the door handle slowly began turning by itself. And from the other side, we heard Penjamin speaking again. Only this time, it sounded perfectly human. "Jay, Pause. Open the door. Jay, open the door. Penjamin sounded exactly like my mother. Not similar. Exact. Same exhausted voice. Same soft rasp from years of smoking cigarettes outside our apartment when I was a kid. Every hair on my body stood up. Mike backed away slowly, shotgun shaking in his hands. Don't fucking open it. The voice came again. Softer this time. Sweetheart, please, I felt sick. How does it know my mom's voice? I whispered. Then another voice came through the door. My father. Jay, it's okay, son. Mike's face turned ghost white. Nope. Nope. Absolutely fucking not. Bang. Something slammed against the door hard enough to crack the wood. Tiny screeches echoed from the hallway ceiling. Dozens of claws scratching. Moving. Waiting. Then came another sound. Laughter. Children laughing. The office lights flickered violently. Mike finally snapped. Move. Boom. He fired the shotgun directly through the office door. The blast exploded outward into the hallway. An inhuman screech immediately answered him. Something collapsed outside. But then, more movement. Fast movement. Tiny limbs skittering across walls and ceiling tiles. I looked through the hole in the broken door and instantly regretted it. The baby creatures were everywhere. At least 20 of them. They crawled across the hallway ceiling in jerking spider-like motions, their tiny beaks clicking rapidly while black slime dripped from their stomachs. And standing behind them was the woman from the creek, or what remained of her. Her body looked swollen and bloated with movement beneath the skin. Her jaw hung loose and broken while yellow slime leaked from her empty eye sockets. Yet somehow, she was still alive. Jay, she croaked. Something inside her stomach kicked violently. Her ribs shifted beneath her skin. Then a tiny claw punched outward from inside her throat. Mike fired again. Boom. The woman's head exploded against the hallway wall. Black blood sprayed everywhere. But the creatures didn't stop. They rushed the office door instantly. Mike blasted another one apart mid-jump, splattering slime across the ceiling, but 3 more replaced it immediately. One landed on my shoulder. Its claws pierced straight through my shirt into flesh. I screamed. Up close, the thing smelled like rotting meat left inside a hot car for weeks. Its tiny head sacs pulsed rapidly as its beak slowly opened. Rows of human teeth lined the inside. Not alien teeth. Human teeth. Oh God. I ripped it off and slammed it against the desk repeatedly until yellow fluid burst from its body. The baby screamed like an infant. An actual human infant. Then died twitching. Mike shoved me toward the back window. We have to go now. The office door finally burst open. Penjamin entered slowly. But it wasn't the same creature anymore. It had grown larger. Much larger. Its body nearly scraped the ceiling now. Veins pulsed beneath translucent flesh while its tentacles dragged behind it like intestines. And beneath its stomach, shapes moved. Human faces, pressed from inside its skin, screaming silently. I saw the woman's face among them. Still alive somehow. Penjamin tilted its head toward me lovingly. Jay. Its voice glitched between different people. My mom, the dead woman, children, customers, even my own voice. We are becoming. Mike fired the shotgun directly into its face. Boom. The blast tore part of its beak apart. Black slime exploded across the office walls. Penjamin screeched so loudly my ears started bleeding. But then, the wound began healing. Flesh twisted and reformed before our eyes. Mike stumbled backward in horror. No, 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 no. The creature lunged. One tentacle pierced straight through Mike's shoulder and pinned him against the filing cabinet. He screamed horribly. Jay, run. I grabbed the fire extinguisher nearby and smashed it against Penjamin's head. Thunk. The creature recoiled. Mike collapsed onto the floor, bleeding heavily. Help me, he gasped. But the babies were already swarming him. Tiny claws covered his legs, his chest, his face. Mike screamed and fired wildly as they crawled into his mouth, ears, and nose. I'll never forget the sound. Crunching, wet swallowing, bones cracking beneath tiny jaws. One of the creatures looked directly at me from inside Mike's open mouth, then disappeared down his throat. Mike's stomach immediately started moving. Something inside him wriggled violently beneath the skin. Jay, he cried weakly. His voice suddenly changed. It deepened unnaturally. Don't leave us, plural. Us. I ran. God forgive me, I ran. I burst out the back exit into the freezing New Jersey rain. Thunder shook the sky while alarms screamed throughout the QuickChek behind me. But as I stumbled toward my car, I realized the parking lot was completely empty. No police, no ambulances, no people, just silence. Then I looked upward. Every rooftop surrounding the store was covered with creatures, hundreds of them. Tiny ones, large ones, all clinging silently to buildings under the rain, watching me, waiting. And in the middle of the road ahead, a tall human figure stood motionless beneath a flickering streetlight. At first, I thought it was a person. Then lightning flashed, and I saw its face. It was Mike, or something wearing Mike's skin. Its stomach bulged unnaturally as dozens of tiny movements crawled beneath the flesh. The thing smiled wide enough to split its cheeks. Then, in Penjamin's voice, it whispered, "You fed us well." And all across Scotch Plains, the streetlights suddenly went out. Darkness swallowed the town in seconds. One moment, Scotch Plains was alive with traffic lights, gas stations, late-night diners, and distant police sirens. The next moment, everything went black. No power, no sounds, just rain falling endlessly from the sky, and those things watching from the rooftops. I stood frozen beside my car while the thing wearing Mike's body twitched beneath the flickering streetlight. Its smile stretched wider and wider until I heard skin tearing near its cheeks. "You fed us well," it repeated. Its stomach moved violently. Tiny limbs pressed outward beneath the skin. Then came the cracking. Crack, crack, crack. Mike's ribs began bending outward from inside his torso. I stumbled backward in horror. Oh my God! Something underneath his skin was trying to escape. The creature tilted its head unnaturally. Hungry. Then its chest burst open. Small black creatures poured from inside Mike's body like spiders escaping a crushed nest. They spilled onto the wet pavement, screeching and clicking while pieces of his organs slapped onto the road around them. Mike's empty skin collapsed like wet laundry. The babies immediately turned toward me. Every single one froze, listening. Then all at once, SRE, they charged. I jumped into my car so fast I nearly broke the door handle. Tiny claws scratched against the windows as I jammed the keys into the ignition. The engine wouldn't start. Come on, come on. A baby creature slammed against the windshield. Its tiny human teeth scraped across the glass. Then another landed beside it. Then 10 more. The windshield became covered with twitching black bodies. The engine finally roared alive. I slammed the gas pedal. The car shot forward violently, crushing several creatures beneath the tires with sickening pops. Others flew off the hood into the rain. But not all of them. One was still attached underneath the car. I could hear it scratching, climbing, getting closer. I sped through empty streets while thunder shook the sky above Scotch Plains. Houses sat dark and lifeless on both sides of the road. No movement, no people, nothing, until I passed a neighborhood playground. That's where I saw them. Families, standing completely still in the rain. At least 20 people, adults, children, all facing the street silently. None of them moved. None of them blinked. And every single one had swollen stomachs writhing beneath their clothes. I drove faster. My breathing became ragged. This wasn't just happening at the QuickChek anymore. The entire town was infected. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. My hands trembled as I answered. "Hello." Static crackled softly. Then came Mike's voice. Except Mike was dead. "Jay." I nearly crashed the car. "How are you calling me?" Wet breathing filled the speaker. "You made us strong." The scratching beneath the car grew louder now. "Closer." "Where are you?" I whispered. A horrible clicking noise answered me. Then dozens of voices spoke together. Inside the phone. Inside the car. Outside in the rain. "We are everywhere now." Suddenly something slammed onto the roof of my vehicle. Thud. The entire car dipped under the weight. Claws scraped across the metal above my head. Then another thud landed behind me. Then another. I looked in the rearview mirror and almost screamed. 3 large creatures clung to the roof of the car, their tentacles digging into the metal while rain washed blood and yellow slime across the windows. One of them looked directly at me. Its face sacs inflated slowly. And through the glass, I saw human eyes forming beneath its translucent skin. Eyes from people it had consumed. The creature opened its beak. "Jay," my mother's voice again. "Please stop running." Then the windshield cracked. A tentacle punched halfway through the glass. I swerved violently across the road. The car spun sideways and smashed into a telephone pole. Crash. Pain exploded through my chest. Airbags deployed. For a few seconds, everything went blurry. Rain poured through the shattered windshield. Then I heard movement. Slow movement. Outside the car. I forced my head upward. The creatures surrounded the vehicle completely now. At least 30 of them. Big ones. Small ones. All staring silently. Waiting. Then the crowd slowly parted. And Penjamin crawled forward from the darkness. But it was enormous now. Its body stretched nearly 20 feet long, dragging across the flooded road like a living nightmare. Human arms and faces protruded from beneath its flesh, moaning weakly as if trapped inside. The sacks beside its head pulsed like giant hearts, and hanging beneath its stomach were eggs, hundreds of translucent eggs. Inside each one floated a tiny curled creature. Penjamin stopped directly in front of my broken car. Its beak slowly opened, and finally, I understood why it came to Earth. Not invasion, not war. Farming. Humans were food. Incubators. Livestock. Penjamin lowered its massive head beside the shattered window. Its voice sounded calm now, almost loving. "You were kind to us, Jay." A tentacle slowly reached toward my face. "We will let you watch the world end." Then behind the creatures, far down the dark street, I saw something even worse. More of them. Thousands. Crawling silently out of the forests surrounding Scotch Plains. Covering houses, telephone poles, church rooftops. An entire swarm moving toward the town. And above them in the storm clouds, something massive moved. Something far bigger than Penjamin. The police never released the security footage from that night. They blamed a gas leak, mass hysteria, animal attacks. But if you ever drive through Scotch Plains, New Jersey after midnight, and you see an abandoned QuickChek with flickering lights still glowing inside, do not stop. And if you smell rotten chips, run. Because sometimes late at night, people still hear scratching inside the ceiling vents. And something softly whispering, "Still hungry." If you enjoyed this nightmare, make sure to subscribe right now, because the next story is even darker. And comment below, what would you have done if you found Penjamin in the back of the store? Would you feed it? Or burn the whole place down? Sleep carefully tonight.